I cannot tell you how many times to this day I still get comments, messages, whatever, from people telling me how stupid, idiotic, and dumb I am for quitting plastic surgery residency. First of all, I love those comments. Please do not stop, especially if you can be like really creative and insulting. That just makes my day. But what I want to talk about is the way that we think. We think that we're so rational and logical. Like, yeah, obviously A and B and C and D, it's just like this, the stepwise kind of bam, 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 bam. But that's not really the case. We're actually terribly illogical, and I got just the thing to show you. Roll the intro. What, we don't have an intro? What do you mean we don't have an intro? What do you mean I'm just pretending I'm talking to someone right now? Class is in session, my friends. What we're gonna do is talk about both plastic surgery and then entrepreneurship, or vice versa. So first, entrepreneurship. You can tell I'm no longer in plastic surgery because that handwriting is so beautiful. So the statistic that gets thrown around all the time is that 80 to 90% of small businesses fail within anywhere from 2 to 5 years, whatever it is, depending on the data set you look at. The time frame isn't important. The important thing here is that only 10 to 20% are successful. It's pretty small. But let's talk about, let's say you want to be a plastic surgeon. Again, handwriting, on point. Now I went to UCLA for college, and at UCLA there were roughly 2,500 pre-meds in my class freshman year. It's like one of the largest pre-med group, like one of the colleges that has the largest pre-med population in the US. And I think that number's right. It's been several years, so I may be a little bit off, but it was something like 2,500. And by the time I applied, so I applied during my junior year, and I was looking at the data set, and they had 250 people actually applying. That number isn't perfect because out of the people in the UCLA data set, first of all, you had to consent to give your data. And then secondly, some people take multiple years off before they apply to med school. But if you go either straight through or take only 1 year off, you are included in that number, right? So maybe the real number is maybe 400, 500 tops. But the point I'm trying to make is that out of the people who are pre-med, a small fraction even applied to medical school. I can think of many friends, I'm sure you can as well, people who were pre-med in college and then at some point they changed their minds. And that's totally fine. Medicine is not for everyone. Let's just pretend, because we're going to make plastic surgery seem as appealing and high, low risk and safe as possible. Let's just say 100% chance. So let's ignore this, even though this is a very important number. Let's ignore it. Let's say 100%. So you're a pre-med and you're going from college to med school. Now, the acceptance rate, if you were to apply, be one of these 250 to 500, if you were to apply, it is 40%. And it fluctuates a little bit every year, but congrats, you're now a med student. Good job. Now you want to do plastic surgery, and first you gotta crush step one. Plastic surgery has the highest, if not one of the highest, step one scores for the average matriculant, and that is around 250. That's gonna put you in the 85th, around the 85th percentile. So you need to be in the top 15% to even have a reasonable chance of getting into plastic surgery. Now you apply to plastic surgery residency. So PRS is plastic surgery and reconstructive surgery. Sorry, plastic and reconstructive surgery, PRS. And two-thirds of those people who apply get in. It's one of the lowest match rates of any specialty. So 40% times 15% is 6%. And then 2/3 of 6%, 4%. That is way lower than you expected, I am sure. So when you look at these two numbers, you're like, wait, 10 to 20, it is safer to do entrepreneurship than to try to become a plastic. Wait, what? Obviously a very stupid analysis, but it illustrates a very important point. Statistics apply to populations, not to individuals. So if you were a hardcore gunner-ass pre-med and you got 99.9 percentile on your MCAT, which again is better than 100 percentile because 100 percentile scorers are not statistically literate, whereas 99.9 percentile is the highest possible percentile. And you get into med school, you're probably gonna crush step one, and you're probably gonna do okay. You're probably gonna get into whatever specialty you want. So your chances as a pre-med, assuming you're starting here, be way higher than 4%, obviously. With entrepreneurship, same thing. There's not much data here. What about the business, the industry? Are some industries safer or riskier than others? Yeah, absolutely. What about the person's work ethic? Are we controlling for that? What about their education? Are we controlling for that? What about their access to capital? There's so many different things that we just don't take into consideration. The data here is so limited. It's essentially useless, right? But people always talk about, That's risky shit, man. You don't want to do that. You're going to fail. The odds are not in your favor. But over here, we're like, oh, yo, it's safe, it's fine. But here's the thing, there's a risk here too, because assuming you get into med school, let's say, like for me personally, there are certain specialties that appeal to my interests and my, whatever, my aptitudes that make me happier. And plastic surgery was that specialty. So if I wasn't able to get into plastics and I had to do primary care, that's something that I probably wouldn't be as happy with long term. I mean, yeah, you're making good money, you're still helping patients, whatever, but there's so much more to medicine than just that. Like what actually excites you? What kind of disease process? What kind of like treatment modalities? Surgery to me, especially plastic surgery, just amazing, right? Kind of ironic I'm even saying that because like I quit. Anyways, statistics apply to populations, not to individuals. That's point number one. Now building off of that, point number two is that you are not a number, right? You are an individual and you can't apply these sorts of numbers to you. You need to understand the limitations of data, the limitations of statistics. And not only if you're a human that reads articles on blog sites and whatever, and I mean, journalists are so bad at summarizing research and not covering the limitations and totally just like fudging up what the study actually says. But hey, they're just going for those clicks, right? I have a whole series on Med School Insiders called Research Explained that goes over some controversial topics like sunscreen or like should you listen to music when you study? Things like that there's actually research on, but then journalists, they don't care about being accurate, they care about clicks. You should know that just as a human, right? Just as a regular person. But even more so if you're going to be a doctor. Because if you're going to be a doctor, then you need to know what's best for your patient. You need to be able to like read the literature, and new research is coming out every single day. And it just keeps like rising at an exponential rate. You need to know how to apply that research to your patient, right? Because your job as a physician is to provide the best quality care that you can. And if you don't understand basic statistics or basic like the limitations of data and these analyses, then you're not going to be able to do that. And then number three, learning to think for yourself. We're all subject to biases when we think, right? That's just human nature. I'm subject to it, you are, everyone is. So a couple things here. Number one, when we get advice from other people, they have their own biases too. And they're often not aware of it. And everyone loves giving advice. It's very easy to come by. But getting good advice is challenging. One thing that really frustrates me is when people are seeking advice and then they get bad advice, then they're worse off than they were if they just didn't go and seek out advice in the first place. And that just really bugs me. I made a video on Med School Insiders about how to seek advice and who you should listen to, and then even when you do get advice, how you should listen to them, because no one's really perfect. So in terms of biases, let's illustrate this with an example. So a lot of people are afraid of flying, but how many people are afraid of getting in a car? When you look at the data as to which one is more dangerous, I'm forgetting the exact numbers, but they're like essentially equivalent when you control for time, I think, and then like driving is actually more dangerous per mile or something like that. The exact details aren't important. What I'm trying to say is driving is way more dangerous than most people realize, yet we don't really think twice. We're not nearly as rational as we think we are, especially when it comes to like our fears, like quitting medicine or something that's like very high risk. Like, oh my God, this is terrible. It's really not. I made spreadsheets, I did the analyses, like it actually made sense for me to do this, right? And look, you can disagree with me, that's not the point, I don't really care. The point is we are so bad at being rational, at being unbiased, at being logical with our decisions. We're so emotional. We're so bad at assessing risk logically. There is a fine line between being delusional and then listening to yourself and believing in yourself, right? And there's going to be many times, and I wish I started doing this sooner, where you will receive advice from mentors and people who just like have way more experience than you, but they could be wrong. And if you listen to yourself, you could end up doing some things that you may even be surprised by yourself. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video useful. Don't believe everything you think. If you like the video, let me know with a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments or requests for a future video, let me know with a comment down below. Much love to you all, and I will see you guys in that next one.